1. Plaskett's Puzzle, the GM Tournament Drama. In 1987, Brussels hosted one of the strongest chess tournaments of the decade. The legendary Garry Kasparov, Anatoly Karpov, Nigel Short, and Mikhail Tal were all playing. During a rest day, English Grandmaster James Plaskett set up this position on a board in the analysis room. A crowd of world-class grandmasters gathered around, trying to calculate a win for white, but they kept getting stuck in dumb knight forks and endless lines. Nobody could solve it. Frustrated, the legendary former world champion Mikhail Tal, known for his wildly creative attacking style, walked away to take a stroll around the tournament hall. After an hour of thinking entirely in his head, Tal walked back into the room and calmly played out the exact, beautiful solution. Even though Plaskett made it famous, the puzzle was actually created around 1970 by a Dutch endgame composer named Gijs van Breukelen, who hadn't published it yet. Well, now that we know the background, how about we solve it? Now, in this position, we are down a piece and 2 pawns, but one of our pawns is about to promote. The only problem here is that there's a knight on g5 that will fork us if we promote into a queen. Now, before I tell you the solution, I'll give you some time to solve it yourself, or at least guess the move in this position. Now, if we're ruling out the pawn promotion, then we've got 2 other candidate moves, bishop c2 and knight f6. If bishop c2, king g7, and it's over. There's just no other checks, so we can rule that one out. How about knight f6? The only move Black's king has is king g7, because if king g6, then we have bishop h5 check, defended. He takes our knight, and at the end the bishop will be protecting the f7 square, stopping the fork, so we can just promote, and that won't work because we just promote with check. So the only move is king g7. After this, a good portion of you guys would probably think h5, now stopping the fork, but Black just responds with bishop a5, stopping our promotion again. So instead, we've got to play knight h5. He has to play king g7 for the same reasons I said before, and then bishop c2, forcing him to move again. There's 2 squares he can go to, f7 and h5, taking our knight. Now, if he plays f7, then he's just completely losing because he stops the fork from ever happening with his knight. So he has to take on h5. And now we can promote. Now d8, promoting to a queen. Knight f7, king e6, knight d8, and king f5, cramming the black king on the side. So he plays e2, and we play bishop e4, threatening mate on f3. The only way to stop it is by under-promoting to a knight, stopping white's plan. But white keeps going. Bishop d5, pawn c2, bishop c4, threatening mate again on e2. Again, the only way to stop it is by under-promoting again for a second time. Oh boy, it's not over yet. Bishop b5, knight c7, bishop a4, and it doesn't matter what Black does because he cannot stop mate. 2. Mitrofanov's Deflection, the Study of the Millennium. In 1967, a massive chess composition tournament was held in Georgia to honor the 12th century poet Shota Rustaveli. Over 250 of the world's best puzzle creators submitted entries. Mikhail Tal was actually one of the judges. Leopold Mitrofanov submitted this puzzle, and it instantly blew the judges away. It won first place by a mile. It is so brilliant that chess master and historian Tim Crabb called it his candidate for the study of the millennium. Mitrofanov's puzzle features a mind-melting move where white sacrifices a full queen on a square where it can be taken by 3 different black pieces, just to drag a black piece slightly out of position. Hilariously, after it won the tournament, analysts found a tiny flaw in Mitrofanov's original setup. The version people play today has a slight correction, placing a black knight on g2 instead of f3 to keep the puzzle completely sound and clean. White cannot even safely get a pawn close to promotion. No matter how we look at the position, it seems impossible for white to do anything except defeat and resign. Every idea leads to the same dead end. But then something unbelievable appears. The instructions for the puzzle say, white to play and win. This completely changes the way we see the position. Somehow, White has a hidden resource that goes against everything we know about chess. It will take something truly amazing to turn this hopeless position around. And that move is considered one of the most incredible moves ever created in chess. It is a move that made this puzzle famous around the world. The solution begins with pawn to b6 with check. This makes sense because White's only hope comes from his queenside pawns. Black responds with king to a8. White now plays rook e1 and Black has to take. If not, then White's rook would be onto the first row and Black has no hope of making a queen, so knight takes e1 pawn to g7. With Black's king on the 8th rank, this is the only move that avoids losing immediately. Black plays pawn to h1 and becomes a queen. White answers with pawn to g8 and becomes a queen with check. Black plays bishop to b8. White continues with pawn to a7. Once again, this is the only move that keeps White alive. White is even threatening checkmate, but his king is in a dangerous position and Black begins attacking. Black plays knight to c6 with check. This is a sacrifice. Black gives up the knight to gain more checks and keep the attack going. Black responds with queen takes h5 with check. This is the second check Black gains from the knight sacrifice. At this point, every line appears to end in a draw. But White is not looking for a draw. White needs something more. And then comes the impossible move. Queen to g5. What an incredible idea. This move became so famous that an entire book was written about it. Mitrofanov's Deflection by I.M. Viktor Koruskin. It was a move nobody had ever seen before. A quiet and simple-looking move that completely changes the position. White gives up his queen for no obvious reward. He allows Black to take it, accepts being down even more material, and appears to throw away his last chance. But after looking deeper, we see the genius behind it. Black plays queen takes g5 with check. White responds with king to a6. Once again, the only move that works. Suddenly, everything has changed. The player who looked completely lost is now winning. White's pawns become stronger than Black's 3 powerful pieces. Black's best attempt is queen check on a5. White replies, king takes a5. Black plays, bishop takes a7. White continues, pawn to c7. Black plays, king to b7. And finally, pawn takes a7. 3. The Saavedra Study, the priest who outsmarted everyone. In May 1895, a chess columnist named Georges Barbier published this position in a Glasgow newspaper. He believed the position was a dead draw because if White promoted their pawn to a queen, Black had a sneaky rook sacrifice that forced a stalemate. A few days later, a Spanish Catholic priest named Fernando Saavedra, who was living in Scotland, walked into the Glasgow Chess Club. He looked at the newspaper and realized the columnist and the rest of the chess club had missed a work of genius. He showed them that if White underpromotes to a rook instead of a queen, the stalemate is avoided and White wins. The crowd was in complete, enthusiastic bewilderment. The columnist was so amazed that he wrote a correction in the next week's paper, giving the priest credit. To this day, the Saavedra Study is the most famous example of underpromotion in chess history. For this one, if we play c7, Black plays rook c6 now. If we go up, he goes up to pinning White into a draw, which is why White plays king b5, rook b5. At any time, White cannot get close to the rook because of Black playing d1 and then playing c1, so we need to find a way to cover c1, which we can every check the rook does we go down until we reach c1 node. If Black just doesn't move the rook and just moves the king, we can queen. After we reach to c2, Black has this tricky little move rook d4, and if you are impatient and queen, then rook c4, forcing you to trade into a stalemate, which is why instead you underpromote to a rook, and that's it. Black is done. The only move to keep going is rook a4, stopping mate on a8, but you just play king b3, it's over. Well, I believe this is where I'll end the video. Stay safe, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Goodbye.